Michael, what are you more into right now? Is it NBA Bulls free agency, or is it the Cubs needing to start stepping on the gas a little bit?
Cubs. I am certainly in the NBA free agency. You can't cover the league as long as I have and not be fascinated with what's going on, even up the road 90 miles in Milwaukee, where they just got rid of Damian Lillard. And they're hanging on, hoping that Giannis will actually want to stay in Milwaukee. So that's fascinating. It's an interesting time, with Wimbledon starting up, and you got, big soccer games being played nationally on the run-up to the international stage. There's a lot. So, there's nothing urgent for about 9 weeks, except maybe the Cubs and what they're going to do at this trade deadline for us. I mean, for me, what's going to happen? What are they going to prioritize? A bat, a third baseman, a starter, a reliever? What's on the shopping list?
Well, let's start with the NBA, though, Mike. And waiving Dame Lillard obviously was a surprise to see. How do you think that impacts Giannis and his decisions?
Well, it's interesting, Dion, that listening to Chris Haynes just now on NBA TV, who knows Giannis well and talks to Giannis, and said that Giannis was less than thrilled. And Giannis is in Greece. He's doing media there, but Chris Haynes is a hell of a reporter and talks to Giannis. And so when I hear that reported, I immediately go, wow, what does this mean? Maybe Giannis hasn't even had a chance to take it all in. But we do know, because I just wrote this down, we just talked about this on PTI, the people that are gone from the championship winning team in 2021, Drew Holiday's gone, Brook Lopez is gone, Chris Middleton's gone, Connaughton and DiVincenzo are gone. Bobby Portis is about the only person, certainly the only one of note left. So how does Giannis view that? Does he think that they're doing enough to keep or acquire people? Does the acquisition, of a first-rate center who's a division rival, does that make him happy? And if so, how happy? So there's a lot to wonder until we get an official reaction from Giannis sometime in the next, I presume, 24 hours.
Here's my question that Dion and I were talking about it during the break. So you're going to have an injured player for a year. Why then you get Miles Turner in the meantime? So yes, Dame is not on the team, but was he even going to play next year as late as he tore his Achilles?
Right. It didn't seem like he would. Doesn't seem like he would. But Dame, when he comes back, is going to be, 36? And I don't know. I mean, the two of them have not been able to be healthy enough to play in these couple of years in the postseason that they had together. It was only a couple of years. So, yeah, there's just a lot of uncertainty there. And I find there's much more interesting stuff than Milwaukee. I mean, the arms race in Texas is unbelievable between San Antonio, Dallas, and Houston. Those teams are gearing up not just to battle each other, but to battle Oklahoma City. And Oklahoma City is in its own gear-up phase because they just, gave $70 million a year to the MVP, the SGA. So you got 4 teams in one region who all look like over the next 5 to 7 years they could win a couple of championships. Maybe all of them will win one. Maybe 3 of them won't win any. But it's interesting how they're going about it in a way that is organic. There's no slapping 3 guys together. There's none of that. You got to draft and develop people. You got to get lucky in that draft, which Dallas just did. But Dallas, look, 2 months ago, people were saying Nico Harrison, not saying the president, GM, whatever Nico's title is, the person who pulled the trigger on the trade getting Luka out of town, he had to have around-the-clock protection security at his home because people wanted at him. Now, if you ask me, who looks like a better bet to be a serious contender next year, Dallas or the Lakers, I'm going to tell you Dallas. And that, of course, presumes that you're going to get Kyrie Irving back healthy late in the year, and it might not be next year. It might be the year beyond. But Dallas looks so much better than the Lakers to me, so much more ready to contend. And I don't want to short Rob Pelinka, who's done a hell of a job and got that team to, one championship in a conference final. But Dallas looks better right now, and that's one of the storylines I think is really fascinating coming out of free agency, trade, and draft.
I don't disagree with you about the Mavs, what they've been able to do. But how do you feel if I would counter you and I said, okay, Nico Harrison may be in a better spot now, but purely out of luck, because it was like him taking a bad shot in the process going into a bad basketball shot. Sometimes those balls go in based on a guy taking a really bad, dumb shot early in the shot clock from a really bad spot while he's triple teamed. But it doesn't make it a good shot just because he made it. But the result was good. Like, you still can't sell me on the process on how he sold Luka, and he's been saved by getting the number 1 pick with Cooper Flagg.
It's a result-oriented business, Silvy. It's a result-oriented business. I mean, how lucky were the Bucks to wake up and find they had Giannis chosen with, the 15th pick?
But that was still smart scouting. Like, you've pointed that out to us.
There's more luck. You're right. There's more luck involved with the lottery. So,
yes.
I mean, the Bulls were lucky to get Derrick Rose.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So the Lakers were lucky to win a coin flip and get Magic Johnson while the Bulls got David Greenwood.
Right.
The Bulls were lucky again that the Portland Trailblazers already had Clyde Drexler, so they said, give us that 7'3" kid from Kentucky. Yeah. I mean, sports has that element, all of it. And so Nico Harrison could wind up being the luckiest guy in the world. But I also look at the Lakers. I mean, we all thought the Lakers were the luckiest team 2 months ago. And let's see. I mean, now LeBron, who knows what LeBron wants? Sounds like, LeBron would rather go and take a chance being somewhere else where he's saying in his usual passive-aggressive way, I don't know. I'd like to contend before I go. Okay, well, you may not be able to have it both ways, big fella. Like, you may not be able to contend at this age and have your $50 million too. You can take the $50 million. I don't begrudge him. He's earned it. But then which one you want? Which one is more important to you at this stage? And so there's so much chance and luck and crazy decision-making involved in these things. And it's, yes, Nico Harrison might be at the tip of the pyramid, but that's a big pyramid, and a lot of people are with him.
Speaking of crazy decision-making, what do you think about what the Bulls have done over the last week with the draft? And do you feel like they have a direction?
I don't know that. I think direction is, you can see it when teams, and Giannis, that's a great question. It's a totally fair question, and it's a question I like in my text chains with, Bulls fanatics of 50 years or more and season ticket holders and all that. Some of my best friends, that's what we're all saying. What's the direction? Mm-hmm. And you can see a direction with OKC, right? You can see what Sam Presti's been doing. And with the Bulls, they've had some missteps. Like, okay, if Giddey turns out to be an all-star and you took him as opposed to 2 first-round draft picks for Alex Caruso, would you take that as above a plan? I mean, maybe. And I don't know. Sometimes they make some steps. You just go, what? Mm-hmm. But I don't know if this French kid is any good. And this goes back to, and Sylvia and I talk about this almost every week. You got to get lucky in the draft. So is this French kid, is he any good? We don't know. We're not going to know for 2 years plus. Is Buzelis any good? Looks like he might be. If he's really good, is that direction or what is that? Whatever it is, I'll take it. Like, if he can build on what he did to Luka when he just humiliated Luka in back-to-back games in March or April or whenever that was, if he can build on that, and become that player, I'll take it, whether it was part of a grand plan or not. So some of this stuff, was we give the OKC people, particularly Presti, we give them credit for the grand plan of going out and getting SGA in the Paul George trade. Maybe. We give him credit because it looks like he's had a run. There appears to be a master plan, so therefore, let's give him credit. I don't know. I know that Kawhi Leonard said to the Clippers, if you don't get me Paul George, I'm going to the Lakers. So what is that? Like at that point, who's lucky there? So some of this stuff we attribute to a grand plan that might not be. But the Bulls, I want this kid to be good. He's 6'9.5". He's got some skills. He played sort of professionally at a young age. We've seen that be the template for some great players from Europe. So let's see if we can get lucky.
So, the thing, though, that I like about what Presti did, and yeah, there have been some lucky moments because of what they did with Paul George and stuff like that, but his grand plan was acquiring as many first-round picks as possible.
Right.
And then developing them. And here's my question for you, Michael, is it came out that Joe Dumars said before he made the Derek Queen trade, when they came up from 23 and they ultimately traded to number 13, one pick after the Bulls, that he started conversations with the team at number 9. And he went down the list. He admitted this. He said, I went to 9, I went to 10, I went to 11, I went to 12, I got a deal at 13. If the Bulls were offered an unprotected first-round pick to move off of 12 for next year, and then they'd still get a first-round pick this year with 23, isn't that bad general managing because you're not accumulating any extra picks in this entire retooling or rebuild?
It's only bad if your pick doesn't turn out to hit. It's like playing roulette. It can be bad, Sylvie. It could be. We could look back on it and say it's bad. But suppose this French kid is the deal. Suppose he's really good. He's a wing at that size and length and athleticism. Suppose he's that good. Suppose he's a Giannis. We're not going to look back then and say, they should have taken an extra pick.
Suppose he's Patrick Williams.
Then we'll look back and say they should have taken an extra pick. It's a result-oriented business. The answer to your question is, what was the damn result? If he's Patrick Williams, bad result. Fire him.
Yeah.
If he's Giannis, extend him. Listen, let's not, we want to act like now, this is the problem with analytics. People act like they know every damn thing. They don't. Sometimes you got to ride with a decision you make, and that decision is everything. And you go back over in the history of every sport, of every franchise, has those moments. Clyde Drexler, it does. And so, let's not act. It's not all choreographed. That's what I hate about some of these full screen things they do on all these shows where they show, and if you're the corner, you got to move here, and the safety moves here, and it's like, what? You're in the middle of mayhem at 90 miles an hour on a football field. What are you talking about? And all these guys act like this is choreographed. It isn't. So it's a great move if, it's Patrick Williams and you skipped him. It's a bad move if it's Giannis and you skipped him.
Back to the Cubs here, and you talked about, before we get into the nuts and bolts of winning and what you're seeing, we had a big debate with Jesse Rogers about Kyle Tucker. He is sick as a reporter of hearing Cubs fans like me, like others, wonder every day or ask every day, are they going to keep Kyle Tucker? Are they going to sign him or are they not? And Jesse's like, just enjoy the damn season. Are you of that notion, or can you do both?
I think you can do both. But I've seen the Cubs. You talk about screw stuff up like that. The Cubs let go a two-time batting champion in Bill Madlock, a two-time batting champion. At a time you think you're still in a space where you think you can't replace your heroic, iconic third baseman Ron Santo. You can't replace him. You got Bill Madlock, and he wins back-to-back batting championships, and you trade him because you don't want to pay him. I mean, the Cubs have made some of the dumbest decisions with, in my opinion,
Greg Maddux. Like Greg Maddux, the best example.
Maddux wanted to leave. Maddux wanted to go.
No. Michael, he begged Stanton Cook and Larry Himes to just pay this amount and he would stay. He wanted to be here.
Well,
and then when he doubled back, they're like, sorry, we already made up our mind. You go. And he went to Atlanta.
Well, then the Cubs have multiple decisions on their heads. The Cubs have more of those bad decisions maybe than anybody. But Kyle Tucker, I tell you what made me crazy was watching Kyle Tucker the other day and then watching a guy go for back-to-back days of home runs. Who was the Cubs pick? He's the guy they traded for Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, Cam Smith.
21-year-old kid.
Cam Smith.
Cam Smith. So if you're not going to sign Kyle Tucker, you better not trade Cam Smith. So if the Cubs are still guided by save a buck, then they deserve whatever ridicule they come by.
So I want to play you that based on that because we were debating that, like, does Cam Smith's emergence in his rookie year before anyone ever thought that he would be playing every day for the Astros make it even a bigger decision? This is what Jesse said. And I really went at it with Jesse during crosstalk. So this is a short bite, and I want you to react it if you agree or disagree with Jesse Rogers. Take a listen.
Is this the Tyler Rocky theory?
No, I mean, it's not just Tyler.
Here's another dumb online thing. Cam Smith had a great weekend, so that puts more pressure on the Cubs to sign Kyle Tucker.
Does Tom Ricketts care one way or another?
I will put up my first-born child that Tom Ricketts, Jed Hoyer, Carter Hawkins do not care what Cam Smith does in terms of the impact on signing Kyle Tucker. I will bet any amount of money on that. Any amount of money.
All right, so how do you react to that?
They may not care. I don't give a damn if they don't care. I give a damn if the decision turns out right. Is it Patrick Williams or is it Giannis?
We have a theme.
Let's talk about what we're talking about. The Cubs have a history, 108 years of it, of screwing stuff up. So I don't care that they don't care. We know they don't care. Or they may not care. If Jesse gets that right, they may not. Maybe they do care. I don't know if they care. But their pockets are lined. The Cubs are a rich organization. They get richer every day. They're exponentially worth more as a franchise, whether or not that decision hits. I care if somebody's following the team. So I don't give a damn whether Jesse puts up his firstborn about that, and that's immaterial. What I would come back with Jesse and say is they better care. They better get it right. And if they had a fan base like Philly or New York or Boston, they get it right or risk being fired, risk being dumped, risk being thrown out of town. They don't have that fan base. The pressure is not on them in the same way.
Get that out on social media right now, Tyler. That's good. The good take.
That was really good. So would you be surprised though if they pay him what we're expecting him to get paid?
Yeah, I would. But they don't do that.
They don't. That's
why it was a joke. I told Waddle and Silvy, Dion, when they were talking about getting Shohei. I'm like, the Cubs aren't getting Shohei. What? Getting Shohei to do what? Come to Cubs camp and sign some autographs in his Dodger uniform? Be in the middle of the winter? The Cubs aren't doing that. They're not. They weren't. It was never a chance. It was a lie. It was a misrepresentation. They were never going to do that. And they're not going to do it. They don't have to. They don't have the pressure to do that. They're not the Mets, Yankees, Dodgers, Cubs, Giants, not Cubs, Yankees, Mets, Phillies. They're not. They're not those franchises. They don't have the local everyday pressure to do it. And the franchises never had it.
Where is your panic meter right now for the Cubs as far as playing this year in Milwaukee, Cardinals, and Cincinnati creeping up on them?
Yeah, I mean, they outplayed, they overachieved through. Are we halfway through? What are we?
Yeah, just past halfway.
Mm-hmm.
So they overachieved in that stretch. I have no criticisms of what they've done. As I look at the Brewers with that young ace, jeez.
Mizorowski.
Schemes doesn't matter. Right, the Miz. Schemes doesn't matter. Schemes against the Cardinals tonight will be interesting. And I will watch that in addition to the Cubs. I don't know that the Cubs, I looked at the Astros, and I think the Cubs are getting everything they can get out of this group, out of this roster. I watch them and I just go, yeah, they're battling. They lost a 2-0 game with a Hall of Famer hitting a 2-run home run at home. What am I supposed to do? Go crazy over that? I'm supposed to say you got to keep Altuve, you got to keep a first ballot Hall of Famer from hitting a home run. I can't do that in good faith. You can't. So I'm looking at it in good faith, going, the Cubs are performing. They're maxing out. Do I think that's enough to get them to the playoffs as a wild card team? I hope. Do I think it's enough to win the division? Not really. Do I think they can do enough in the before the trade deadline to make a run at it? Yeah. They can be buyers and do that. But I'm looking at Milwaukee thinking they're the best of those teams. And, you have to hate the Cardinals. You have to hate the Cardinals for the same reason you hate the Packers. Because if you've grown up in Chicago, you hate and admire them. I hate the Cardinals, and yet I admire them. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Cardinals, people talk about the Dodgers. The Cardinals have won more World Series than the Dodgers. The Cardinals are maybe not the most important historically team in the National League, but they're the best team historically in the National League. And so I look at the Cardinals. What are the Cardinals back? 3? And Milwaukee's back 2?
Yes.
And I just, they got the Cubs have a stretch coming up. They need to rebound and sweep the Guardians.
Ooh. Sweep alert.
They need to sweep the Guardians. And I think and I'm not mad at them if they do. Again, I like watching this team. I think they're giving it everything. I think that Craig Counsell has discovered some things and utilized some people that speak to why the Cubs did pay one person, him, at the top of the food chain to say, hey, come in and implement what we got here. But managers can only do so much. These professional sports are still about players. And when you got a young guy like the Miz running out there every 5th or 6th day, whatever it is, I look at him and go, ugh. How are we gonna match that?
He's good. Yeah. There's a lot of good young arms too. Michael, great stuff. Enjoy. I will talk to you in a few weeks. I'm off to Europe, okay?
Man. Dion, do you have the schedule and the travel agent that Tommy and Sylvie have? Do you have that too?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I will be right here working.
All right, good. That sounds good to me. All right, Sylvie, bon voyage. Be safe.
See ya, Michael. You're the best. Michael Wilbon.